and welcome back to Culinary Haven. In preparation for next week's Chinese New Year, we're bringing you steamed BAO buns served with sticky pork. Let's begin. Unlike when making bread and using strong bread flour to create the right texture, when making these buns, we're using a fine pastry flour because the buns are supposed to be very light and fluffy. And we need 500 grams of this fine pastry flour, which we're going to sift. And we add a quarter of a cup or 50 grams of sugar, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of easy bake yeast, 1 tablespoon of oil, sunflower oil or groundnut oil, but we'll add it later, and 150 ml of lukewarm milk and 150 ml of lukewarm water. So we've sifted the flour now and added all the dry ingredients, and I'll give it with this whisk a little stir to distribute it evenly, the yeast, the salt and the sugar. And now I'm adding the milk and the water. And now I'm going to stir it a little just to start the dough with this rubber spatula until it all comes together. I'll continue doing it with my hands, adding 1 tablespoon of oil and mixing the dough. In a minute, I'm going to dump it on the lightly floured worktop and finish the kneading there. Actually, I don't even need to add any more flour. It's enough here. We're looking for a soft and elastic dough, as always in bread making, but these buns are supposed to be very light and fluffy, so as little kneading as possible. Just as it comes together and feels smooth, stop. We don't want to create gluten by kneading too long, so just gently and as quick as possible. I think that's enough, and we're going to put it back in the bowl and cover it with cling film and let it rise until it's doubled in size. And now it's time to prepare the pork. We'll need 800 grams of lean pork belly and 1 tablespoon of either groundnut oil or sunflower oil, 5 tablespoons of light muscovado sugar, 150 ml of Chinese rice wine and 150 ml of water, 30 ml of rice vinegar, 3 tablespoons of dark soy sauce, 3 garlic cloves sliced, and a small piece of ginger sliced, 2 star anise, and about a teaspoon of Chinese 5-spice. So I put the oil into the pan, and now we need to wait until it's really hot, because what we want is to sear the meat until it's nicely brown. We don't need to cook it through, it's just to give it a nice color and flavor. And that is why we're using either groundnut oil or sunflower oil, because they have a high smoke point, so it won't ruin the dish by hitting the pan to a really high temperature. And then go. If your pan is not too big in diameter, just do it in 2 batches. Don't overcrowd them. So that there is enough heat in the pan to fry them really quickly and giving them a nice color. Let's see. Not yet. That's nice. And that is all we're doing here, just giving the pork nice color, and then we'll deglaze the pan and it will also add to the flavor. And that's enough. Nicely golden brown on both sides, and it will continue cooking in the oven. Now the second batch. This pan is very hot now because it's cast iron and it holds the heat very well, so I'm going to actually turn it down a little bit. It's taking less time to cook the second batch because the pan is already very, very hot. This is it. I only put 1 tablespoon of oil, and the pork is very lean, so I don't have much fat on the pan, but if it happens, discard the fat after you've browned the meat before you start making the sauce. Actually, there is a little bit of oil left here, and I really don't want any in my sauce, so I'm just going to discard it. And now I'm going to put all the remaining ingredients. The brown sugar, and the garlic, and the ginger. Just stir it a little bit. And now I'm going to add the rice wine, and be careful, it will splatter. And the rice vinegar, and the soy sauce. Cook it like this for a minute or so until the sugar dissolves. And now I'm going to add the 5-spice mix and the star anise. I'll turn the heat up so it's boiling and reducing and getting to the thicker caramel-like consistency. And lastly, I'm going to add the water and bring it to a boil again on a high heat so it thickens again and reduces before we coat the pork slices in it. And we'll cook it like this for a couple of minutes until it thickens, but not too much because we need plenty of the sauce because it's going to be cooked in the oven for an hour and a half, because we need all the sauce to coat the pork slices. That will make them very tender. So now the pan is deglazed and all the sugar is dissolved. We're going to add the pork slices into the sauce. And we're going to cover it tightly with the lid. Continue cooking in the preheated to 160 degrees Celsius oven for an hour and a half. So the dough has risen now, and I'm going to shape the buns. I've lightly floured the surface, and I'm just going to transfer the dough from the bowl and divide it into portions. Just a little bit more flour, very little. And now we're going to roll each piece to an oval shape and lightly oil it with groundnut or sunflower oil. Fold it like this in half and put it on a baking tray. We're brushing the buns with the oil so that when they're ready to be steamed, they won't be stuck. The oil prevents the two layers from sticking together. Once they're all done, we are going to cover them again and put them back in the warm place to rise a little bit for about 30 minutes. When I was learning how to make these buns, I was told that you need to put a little wooden skewer between the layers to prevent them from sticking. But turns out you don't. The oil does the job. And now we're going to cover it and put it back in a warm place for about 30 minutes. And now it's time to prepare the garnish. The fresh, the sharp, and the crunchy. We're going to slice the cucumber and the spring onions into matchsticks. So we're going to put each portion upright and then slice lengthwise about 3 millimeters thick and then across, making perfect matchsticks. Cucumbers in winter are not very good, so I'm going to actually discard the center part of it because it's just too watery and not too good. And that's enough for now. And now we're going to prepare the spring onions. We'll do the same, only I'll switch to a bigger knife. We're going to cut it into 4 portions and then cut them also lengthwise, making the little sticks. And now we'll prepare the peanuts. About 100 grams. We'll put them in the mortar and just crush them roughly because we want the nice crunchy chunky texture. I'm going to add a little bit of paprika. It gives a nice flavor and nice color too. And just go like this, mortar and pestle. So the buns are now ready to jump into the steam room, and I'm going to put, whoops, left it too many. I'm going to put 4 of them in each tier. And in 15 minutes, we'll have the perfect BAO buns. And the buns are ready. Take them out it. And I'll show you how to assemble it. You open it up, and as you can see, it's all nicely steamed through, and it's radiant, nice and fluffy. And then we'll just take a slice of pork, which is very nice and tender, and there's plenty of sauce coating the pork. And then we'll put a couple of slices of the cucumber and a couple of sprigs of spring onion and a little bit of the crunchy peanuts. And then we just close this pouch and tuck in. Thank you for watching this episode of Culinary Haven. Until next time, bye.